Okay, testing 1 2 1 2. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon.
Evening level, evening.
Good evening. Guys, just test your microphones there. Just so that I know you can hear me.
Evening,
Good
or
evening.
it's midnight.
Midnight
Midnight.
Croissant.
Yeah.
Welcome, ladies and gents. I trust everybody's well, ready, willing, and
Yes, we
able.
good. We
How are you
good,
doing?
thank you.
Oh,
We're very good, thank you, level. How are you?
no, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Me too.
Thanks.
Yet again.
Yeah, great.
Oh,
Thank you.
great stuff, great stuff. Today is our first session, of course. Mainly an introduction, right? Mainly an introduction. And we're gonna take it nice and slow. Maybe the first week, or maybe even two, might come across maybe as boring for some, because we'll be, going back to basics, right? We're gonna touch on all the basics of Forex trading, or let me just say financial markets, right? So, but before we get into that, let's do the intro. Let me introduce myself to those who may not know me. So my name is Lebo Lebunkele, co-founder of Forex MG and African Forex Institute. Yeah. Now, in terms of my trading experience, I've started in 2007. Older brother to Ref Wayne. And I think that's pretty much it. A father of three, family man. Yeah, I think that's pretty much covers it. So I'd like to get to know you a little bit, get to find out who's who, and just get a bit of insight into why have you chosen Forex trading uh, when you could have chosen anything or any other thing. So let us start with, I'll work down the list. If you can just introduce yourself, get to know you, because this is, this group is basically a community. It's for learning. It's for, exchanging, information. You'll have somebody or you'll have a community to bounce off your ideas, your trade ideas from, right? Because trading, can be a lonely thing to do on your own. So it's definitely better to do it within a community, and especially a nice small community, right? So let's start with Mr. Brian Marimo. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you
Thank you.
for this community. My name is Brian Marimo.
Uh-huh.
Living, paying and working in Botswana.
Uh-huh.
Very, very new to Forex trading.
Mhm.
I hope to learn from the veterans like Lebo. Yes, yeah. Forex trading, I think we need it because of the liberty. It gives some freedom that it gives. You do your own things at your own time as compared to full-time employment. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why we are here.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Brian. Right. Really appreciate that. Is it Bruno? I see Bruno on the screen.
Yeah, it's Bruno.
Welcome,
Good
Bruno.
evening. Yeah, thank you. I guess this label, right?
Yes.
Oh,
The one and only.
thank you very much. It's really nice to be here. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not really new to Forex.
Mm.
In some little box in a they take from me, I take from them. But I've never passed through any mentorship or anything. I actually learned by myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been a fan of you guys. I've seen your work, and yeah, I looked all throughout the market, and I just felt, no, this is where I should you
Yeah.
know learn from, and get a community from myself, just like you said. So that's what I'm here. Looking forward to have to impart on me. Thank you.
And Bruno, where are you based?
Yeah, based in Nigeria.
Oh, you're in
Lagos,
Nigeria. Okay. Where in Nigeria?
Lagos State.
Lagos. Ah, alrighty. Were you at that summit that was held by?
Yeah, I was there last year. That was where I got to
Yeah.
meet them. But I didn't
Ah,
attend this year.
ah.
Yeah.
No, hopefully we will meet.
I wasn't there this year, right?
No, he was.
Oh, it was this year as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
two years in
okay.
a row.
Oh, okay, that's nice. I didn't
So
attend one of these.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely there next year. So I'll
Oh,
hit you up, right?
okay. That's no problem. I'll do it to attend and I'll meet one up.
Great
I've so
stuff.
much.
So how long have you been trading for?
Uh, I can't really place
Yeah.
the actual year though, but if we are to like say, okay, when I actually started trading, I
Yes.
think that's like 2 years ago after my wedding. Yeah,
Okay.
22 years. So I've just been, like I told you, I'll collect from there today, they'll collect from me tomorrow and stuff like that. You know how the game goes.
Yeah.
So, so
Yes. No,
yeah,
no, I get it. I get it. You know, you're struggling just to get to that consistency.
exactly. Yeah, with the
Okay.
consistency.
All right. All right. Some of the names here are not the same as what I have on my side, but I'll just call it out and then you can just
It's
introduce.
me, Mr. Muhammad Aris.
Oh, yes, Mr. Mohammed.
Ah,
Ah, Mr.
sorry
Mohammed,
for the different name.
let me remember. Let me remember.
Yes.
Hold on for me, Mr. Mohammed. I want to check something. I want to make sure I'm not mixing you up with somebody. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. I'm quickly checking something here. Is Mr. Mohammed? Yeah, Mr. Mohammed, you've already
Yeah,
given me a
that's me.
testimonial.
Yeah, yes, that one. Ah,
So crazy, eh? No,
you
tell us,
are very
introduce
different from another
yourself.
group. My name is Muhammad Aris. I am from Malaysia. I'm sorry, but my English is not very fluent. I
No,
know
it's okay.
English, but because I didn't speak it as a
Yes.
native.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. But I know English very well.
Yes.
That's it. Uh,
Okay.
uh, I appreciate your basic. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You let me go through some materials before this course, right? Uh,
Yes.
I'm feeling great because having me in this course. I very appreciate it so much, man.
No, thank you.
Because
Thank you.
you different from other group,
Yeah.
That just all basically 100% technical, no reason behind it. But you show
Yes.
me a different side of Forex that I didn't
Yeah.
know was there. It's
Wow.
all along.
Wow.
It's there. Yeah. Thank you so much, man.
No, it's honestly a pleasure. And if anything, thank you for trusting, myself and Forex MG with your trading
Uh,
journey, and that goes for everybody. By the way, Mr. Mohammed basically has been on a losing streak for some time, and that changed in a couple of weeks just by going over some videos that are made available to him. And so basically he's basically doing his course, let's say, for free because uh, he's already paid himself, right? His account is no longer in the red, so that's absolutely fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So well done to you, Mr. Mohammed.
all right. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. We've got who's next? uh Glorious. Welcome, Glorious. Glorious. Is it Kelechi? Am I saying it right? if you can hear us. There we go. There we go. Good evening. Or is it good morning on your end?
Yes.
Ooh, that line is not great. We're struggling to hear you. Or is it just only?
I can hear you. I don't
There
know
we
if you
go.
can hear.
There we go. Welcome, welcome, Gloria. Just give us a quick intro. Who's Glorious? Where are you based? Did you catch that, Glorious? Okay, I think Glorious is having some difficulty maybe with the network on her end. So we'll come back to you, Glorious, if you can hear me. Mkhumutsi. By the way, that's my other name. Mkhumutsi, come on.
Mr. Lebza, how are you, sir?
Ah, no. Very well, thank you. And how are you?
Very well. I'm so glad to hear that your other name is Mukumu.
Yeah, no, and I love that name, but I just don't know why they didn't use that, call me that when I was growing up. So, because Le was such a common name. But anyway, a topic for another day. Mr. Mukhumudzi, welcome. Say, where are you from? What do you do? Where do what area are you in? Are you in South Africa or in another country?
Oh, yes, I'm in South Africa, in Pumalanga.
Okay.
I am a full-time pastor.
You are a full-time pastor.
Yeah, I'm a full-time pastor, but I'm currently studying.
Okay. No, the anointing is upon us. The anointing is upon us. Hey.
Amen.
No. All right. Now, why Forex trading? And I haven't been asking the others. Why Forex trading?
Well, I got introduced to Forex trading in 2015. I found it very complex at the time, but somebody unraveled to me and asked me a question and said, imagine a life where you can make an annual salary in a month. I said, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, imagine that type of a life. I said, no, I wish to live that type of a life. And I've been trading for the past 9 years.
Yeah.
And I've been following Doctor as well for the past 9 years. I need to be unlocked. I'm interested particularly in the microeconomics. I think that is what is missing on my trading journey.
Yes. I know. I look forward to engaging, I definitely look forward to engaging. Yeah, I wish I could just get to it, so we can hit the ground running. But we I guess sadly we have to take it a little easy. Make sure that everybody's on the same page, right? Everybody's on the same page. Yeah, but no, really, thank you. You're welcome, sir. And
Thank you.
let's try Glorious once more. Glorious, if you can hear us, please confirm.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. No, tell us more. Who is Glorious?
Okay, my name is Glorious. Glorious Kelechi from Nigeria. Currently in Enugu, Nigeria right now. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 3, and I've been involved in Forex for like 2 years now.
Okay. No, thank you.
I'm still trying to find my.
Yeah. 2 years, you said, right? 2 years experience.
Yes.
Okay.
It's been up and down, but I really want to get better.
All right. And is there do you have an occupation? Is there other work that you do, or you are purely just a trader?
I was formerly a banker, but I resigned. So I've been a housewife.
Okay.
I'm a sit-at-home mom.
Okay. No, thank
Sorry, I need to lock my door so that these kids don't listen.
I beg your pardon?
So I'm a sit-at-home mom.
All right. No, thank you.
What you like?
So, you said, if I heard you were a banker previously.
Yes.
Okay. No, thank you, Glorious. Medineo.
Yes, thank you, Lebu. My name is Dineo Ledwaba. I'm based in Johannesburg. I've had a long relationship with Forex, but it's been kind of an on and off relationship, because I think while I was starting to take it serious in 2020, then COVID hit, and the disruption again. So I stopped, and then I came back again this year. And I think the training I went through with Lebu kind of made me realize that maybe it's possible I might succeed in this. So I think all the trainings that I've had were just more technical. So when Lebu introduced the fundamentals in the way he did, it changed my perspective on trading. Even though, because of the way you have done the fundamentals, Lebu, I do still feel if I could also have a brush up on technicals, maybe I would be a better trader.
Okay.
Because the only challenge, when you have been trained, everything sounds this understand, and then once you start trading, then the market will just beat you up, and you start thinking, what do I know? What is it that I don't know? Yeah.
No, a lot of practicals,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think something that I've realized, because I'm also working as a coach.
Yes.
I'm always putting my mind on this, and that's what I'm realizing. It's making me not to succeed as I should, because this requires a lot of focus. You need to put your mind on it. You need to look at, you need to look at the history of what has been happening, and, understand all these economic indicators. So I realize that I'm not giving it a proper attention. I'm giving it a divided attention, which is probably why I'm still not successful in it. But I need to work on that. Yeah, I need to work on that.
I was listening to this podcast because it's one of the things that I do, because of late I don't have enough time. Some might say it's an excuse, I guess, but I don't have enough time to read as many books as I would in a year, right? So I listen to podcasts or audiobooks, and one of them it was a study basically on the 10,000. I think everybody is at one given point in time have heard about, to be a pro in something, you need to give it at least 10,000 hours. And so they were debunking basically that study that was done in the early 90s, I think. And yeah, it was quite interesting because I spent, quite a lot of hours in front of the screen, really trying to learn this thing. And what I've noticed over time, which I can concur with that study being debunked, is you don't necessarily actually need 10 hours, because they redid that entire study and realized that some some people who did the 10 hours in a particular field still failed dismally, and others only maybe put in 3,000 hours and came up tops, right? So I'll share it with you, and might also bring a different some sort of paradigm shift, right, on how to approach this trading thing. But definitely I would say, an hour minimum, it's enough. As you can see, we do 2 hours. I would say try and keep it to 2 hours maximum per session, because beyond that you really don't hear me anymore. And in a week, we keep it to 6 hours, right? So all the sessions anyway, or rather all the different groups that I do, is, I won't sound the same. And so maybe this time around you just might hear me differently. Right? Yeah. Okay, no, thank you, maybe. No.
Thank you.
Sikle? I think it's Sikle.
Yes. Afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mr. Sikle, loud and clear. Welcome, sir.
Okay.
Please go ahead. Who is Sikle? Where are you from? And yeah, just give us a bit of background.
I'm glad to be here. So my name is Sihlem Tembu. Okay. So I'm Sihlem Tembu. I'm from Johannesburg. My day job is a software engineer, right?
Okay.
And then I fell in love with this Forex late last year, right? As I'm a new father, so I saw that my current profession is, in terms of monetary, it's progressing slowly, right? And I was basically looking at some ways that I could add up to, what I currently have. So yeah, so I've been seeing how you guys work, and I really fell into love with how you guys do it, and also the Forex itself. So
yeah,
I'm just looking to get more out of this session.
No, thank you for trusting us. Mr. Sidle. Is there anybody else who have left out here? I think I've covered everybody, right? I hope so. Okay, guys. All right, Mr. Brian, I see your request to record. Yeah, I guess let me allow you to do so. Let me allow you. I think I hope I clicked on the right button to allow you to record. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I've got the sessions definitely recorded for everybody. Every session will be uploaded, not in most cases within the hour after the session. I upload it so that it's available to you. Yeah. So reason why actually I'm allowing you, Mr. Brian, to record is that there's another group that I did. In fact, it was the first group in a year, and I was just going through the recordings under the section recordings, where I had dumped all the recordings and they're not there. So I was asking them yesterday, hey, where are the recordings? So clearly somebody deleted them by mistake, I suspect, and I don't have the backing. I don't have them backed up because it's unfortunately about a couple of weeks ago I actually cleared my space, So if you're recording, I guess you are our backup, right? Because if something happens, then we know where we can find the recordings. Right, all right. So I think, where can I start? There's so many things that I want to say, but I don't want to just go on and on and on. I think the first point is I think we can all agree that we are doing this, or one of the things that attracted us to trading is, of course, the return on investment, the money, right? That's the world that we live in. Everything needs to be financed, right? So, and we live in a time where it's rather relatively much tougher to get by. There aren't as many opportunities as they were, say, at least a decade ago, right? And we definitely then need to supplement our incomes. And for some, this is likely maybe the only source of income, like some of us. Well, actually, I lie, it's not the only source of income, but I'm known for trading. And trading doesn't have to be your passion, right? It likely isn't your passion, right? And another thing that's always said is that, for you to succeed in something, you need to be passionate about it. Not entirely so. You need to have you need to be skillful in that particular thing that you are pursuing. I think that's, if anything, because you can be passionate about dancing, but you've got 2 left feet, right? So you're not gonna do well in dancing, even if you're passionate about it, because unfortunately, well, you just don't have the skill, right? So I would say the same about trading. So for me, trading, my passion comes and goes for it, right? And mainly the teaching side of things. That's where the passion comes and goes. There's a time where I get burnt out and I don't want to do it anymore, and so I'll disappear. So I've been through that a couple of times in the years that I've been, trading. I just recently actually got back into this thing of, coming to the forefront and, teaching again. I love trading because it affords me so many opportunities, especially business, right? Um, because we're always thinking about how to spend our returns. And I think that needs to change. We need to, spend a bit more time thinking about how do we create wealth? How do we, from these returns that you'll generate off the market, how do you then, grow, uh, you know, and have it, a sizable portfolio? So I've dabbled in various businesses in different sectors, from, construction, a bit of mining, etc., right? I've got a portfolio, I've got a property portfolio. Somebody was pressing me the other day, trying to, actually, they came over to the house and they wanted to know how many, properties I have, because coincidentally they bumped into somebody who's actually a friend of mine, and they saw their property portfolio. So I kept I under you know I under I didn't really give him the proper figure, but I'll give you the figure that I gave him, because this is something that I just recently completed. So we've got, myself and my wife, we've got now these units, or this apartment block for student accommodation, and that's basically 50 units. And every unit basically generates 6,000 rands. I'm not too sure how much that would be in dollars, just to give you perspective. But of course, my friend has got triple that, and it's a lady, by the way. So, and she's also in finance. So this is something that I'm trying to highlight, that you can, and of course, you're gonna start slow, but don't think of always how to spend your money, but rather how to grow it. Because if I don't want to trade today, I don't have to trade, right? But if anything goes bad and I lose everything, God forbid, the only thing I would really want or need is my ability to think. So I need to, still have a sound mind and internet connection and just a laptop, and I'll bounce back. Right? I'll definitely bounce back. That's the beauty about trading. You only need to exercise your brain. That's it. Have internet connection and you're good to go. Right? So, what is Forex trading? I think we should start there as our first question. Right? What do we understand Forex trading to be? Somebody was to ask you that. Somebody who doesn't know anything about it. They've been hearing you say you're a Forex trader or you're trading Forex. How do you explain it to them, what it is? Anybody?
Okay, Bruno here.
Yeah, thank you, Bruno.
All right, so if somebody were to ask me, I would just give him that forex trading is simply the act of buying and selling of different currencies and maybe stock commodities as well, and indices. I also include futures and others as well. So roughly that.
Okay. No, thank you. Thank you. Does anybody want to add on to that? Or maybe give an alternative answer? Maybe you don't quite agree with that explanation? Feel free. You are now siblings. You're stuck with me. No one. Still shy. Okay. I think if anything, we have to understand the history of money. Right? We have to understand the history of money. So let's go back a bit. So we've had different forms of currency in the past. Excuse me, from, salt being a currency to silver and gold, right? And of course, silver and gold. It says my internet connection is unstable. Oh, no. How's the audio though? Am I still nice and clear?
Very clear. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty. Thank you. So silver and gold, I think everybody can agree that it's the oldest or one of the oldest, forms of currency. And, there's definitely solid evidence in history books that it was extensively used by all economies at some point, right? You find it in the Quran, you find it in the Bible, you find it in so many religious texts and history books, right? So it's quite old. But fast forward, we move. Of course, um, how can I put it? Countries, evolve, and we have systems in place. We've got governments now in place, and so with the formation of governments, they started to issue out what we call fiat currency, which is what we are using in this day and age, right? Fiat currency, FIAT. Now, in the early stages of, issuance of this fiat currency, it used to be backed by commodities. Now, there used to be what we call the gold standard. Does anybody know of that? The gold standard.
Yeah, I read about that somewhere.
Right. So what it is basically, let's make an example. For every $100 bill that would be printed and issued, there needed to be, let's say, an ounce of gold to back it up, right? This was a way of regulating the supply and value of this currency, okay? So that they don't print willy-nilly, all right? Because of course, if you don't have some sort of system in place, such as the gold standard, you would then print money endlessly whenever you need it. And what do you think the end result would be? What would be the undesired result of doing so? Anybody? If you just print money and print, what happens?
Inflation.
Right? Thank you. You would definitely have inflation. And well, inflation is something that's common. It's there, but it's, it's kept at a particular range. Now, if you definitely, print endlessly, you will definitely have a much higher inflation rate. And worst case scenario, you will have hyperinflation. Good examples of that, economies that have, suffered hyperinflation is Zimbabwe. It's Venezuela. What other countries? In the past, Germany after World War II. And yeah, many other countries, right? So now fast forward, we get into the 70s. I think it was 1972, somewhere there. Basically up to that point, the US dollar was, a what we call a or is even till today a reserve currency. Does anybody know what a reserve currency means? A reserve currency.
Yeah, I think just like the explanation you made right now about the gold. So the US dollar was actually the gold in this case. Am I right?
Say that one more time.
I said just like when you talked about the gold on backing right now.
Yeah.
So USD was not acting like just like the gold backing. In other words, I think the more dollar a country has or something, like back up there, I don't know, but something like that.
Okay, close. Yeah, close. So what it is basically is when, your currency is globally recognized by many economies and is a preferred method of payment, right? So, when it comes to global economics, international trade, let me put it that way rather, most business is conducted or quoted in dollars, right? So if I want to buy a mall in Nigeria, I would be financing that in dollars, US dollars, right? If you look at all, if not most, let's say most, if not all commodities, gold, copper, silver, corn, wheat, oranges, whatever you name it, these are quoted in dollars, right? Those transactions are financed using the US dollar, right? So when, back in the 1970s, I can't remember exactly the sequence of events, but there's the a lot of let me say dollar holders, those who had dollars with them, started to notice that actually the US government, or let's say just the US, is on an expansionary, mission. It's roads, it's infrastructure, it's this. They're really spending a lot of money on military, etc. And of course, if how are you going to do all of those things? You have to print, dollars. Okay, you have to print more money. But then so those who started noticing this, they started to suspect that there's a likelihood that they actually don't have the amount of gold that they should have to match up with all the dollars in circulation in the entire world. You get it? So what do they do? Because at that time, you could literally walk into a bank and say, you know what? I don't want the dollars anymore. I would like to exchange them for gold. So you would give them your dollars, fill in a form, and maybe they'll say to you, come tomorrow, we'll have your gold for you. Or maybe they would have it just in their vault readily available. Right? I guess it depends on how much, gold you would want, how many, let's say, dollars you would be converting into gold. So now the bank, rather the United States government started to notice a trend that there was a lot of requests to exchange those dollars for gold, and they were in trouble because they actually didn't have that gold. You see where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's where I think it was Nixon, one evening just popped up on TV and said a bunch of hoo-ha ways that didn't quite make sense. But essentially what he was saying is he was removing the dollar from the gold standard. Okay? You would not be able anymore to exchange your dollars for gold. So now by removing the dollar from the gold standard, basically now meant that the government could print as much money as they wanted or as they needed, right? And as this change happened, and many economies also not backing up their currencies with some sort of commodity, then how do you value one currency against another? How do you do that? Right? So this is where all the moving mechanics or mechanisms of an economy come into play. That's how we're going to gauge these economies, because now we are using what we call the floating exchange system, right? The foreign exchange system, right? So one currency is now valued against another. Now, what would make one currency, have a much higher value than another currency? Okay. This would be, of course, international trade. There are, how can I put it? What type of economy is it? Is it a commodity regime? Is it a services orientated economy? There are many moving parts to the economy. So we measure, we monitor all these different macroeconomic data that gives us feedback on any economy, right? And also, of course, it's not only limited to that, but also geopolitical events also affect the value of a currency. For example, Ukraine versus Russia, right? Those two economies are affected by that. Their currencies are affected by this ongoing war. But it's not only contained to just these two countries, because we are interconnected, right? There is something in South Africa that we get from Ukraine, right? And many other countries. There's something that we get from Russia as well. And there's something that Russia needs from us. So such a geopolitical event, affects a lot of economies because we are all interconnected. Do you see it? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, 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 we do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got the
Yes,
picture.
yes, yes, yes.
Right? So, Forex, what is Forex trading? So you start to, you have to understand that history of money so that you know what you're engaging in, right? The whole concept behind it, right? Essentially, at the end of it, it's international trade and it's capital flows, right? So two things are quite important: international trade and capital flows. No country can be on its own or thrive on its own. There's something that we have that somebody needs, and there's something that they have that we need, right?
Yes, yes.
So now I tend to, ask this question, and some would say it's the buying and selling of currencies. Yeah, sure. But now when somebody who doesn't know anything about this and they ask you, okay, buying and selling of currencies, where are they? Can you show me? Right? Show me these currencies. So it becomes, a little trickier to try and explain this thing, right? Because you don't have these currencies on hand. So you're basically a retail trader. That's what you are, okay? And you are basically a speculator. You're speculating. That's all it is. We are speculating on the movement of price, right? If we believe that the pound will appreciate against the dollar, we need to back it up not only just by coming with that conclusion based on technical analysis, but we need to back it up with fundamental analysis as well, right? We need to back it up with more than just technicals, right? Because our price is not moved by trend lines and this is support, this is resistance. No, as we all see all over YouTube, that's not it, right? As a matter of fact, we have done full circle because in the early stages, before the advancement of technology, I wouldn't even say early stages, but from the inception of advanced economies or advancing economies, we've markets or price has always been moved by fundamentals, right? There was no PC, there was no meta trader 4 or 5, right? So traders would go to a central place to book their orders, right? And they were not just simply looking, there was no chart, right? They were merely, okay, there was a chart, but not as advanced as you see it today, right? And you wouldn't be getting a per second update on what's happening with price. No, you would have to wait to get your latest newspaper and go to the finance section and see where the price closed off for the day, right? And determine where it is likely going to go based on the fundamentals. So that's the crux of this whole thing. Now, with the advancement of technology, it has become really arguably easy. And that's one of the other reasons, besides the money factor. This is one of the reasons that trading is very popular, because many say this could be easy to do, because we now with MetaTrader 4 or 5, it's a visual presentation of the markets, right? You can see exactly right now what's happening with price, and you can go back as far back into time as you want to do analysis and get that history. Back then, it wasn't there. So if you were not a book lover, you likely wouldn't have taken a second look at trading. But now, because of course, like I say, technology, this is where we are. And the style now, or the approach that we've seen, is more of a technical approach, right? More of a technical approach, technical analysis is much, much, much more popular than, fundamental trading, right? But unfortunately for many, they don't enjoy consistent success in this thing because they ignore the fundamental side of things, or maybe they simply say do not understand it quite well, right? And so now we've done full circle again, right? Because when I started as well, I'm just only looked at the technical analysis, right? But that's not what moves price. So only once I started learning macroeconomic data did I realize that actually that is what moves price. That is what moves the markets, right? So my favorite saying is your technical analysis may be great, but your trade decision needs to be fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
Are you hearing me? Let me say it one more
Yeah.
time. Your technical analysis may be great, but your trade decision needs to be fundamentally sound. So you cannot choose one over the other. You have to embrace both. You follow?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
follow.
I
Oh,
got it.
yeah. Either way, Shaya is put in every way. You feel good, Shaya. You feel bad, Shaya. Right? So, yeah, that's our
Can
mantra.
I can I ask something then?
Yes, yes, yes. Please go ahead, Medina.
I've been watching the US dollar index.
Yes.
It looks like it's driven by fundamentals, basic economic,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it actually determines the direction that the dollar will take based on what has been happening in US
Uh-huh.
economically.
Yes.
So would you not then say that in a way fundamentals they tend to override technical analysis?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Fundamentals will definitely give you direction. Now, we only consult technical for entry, right? We want to draw a parallel between our findings, right, in terms of fundamentals to the technicals. I was actually talking about this earlier with somebody. I'm trying to remember exactly what I was saying to them. We were talking about these two economies, the US and Japan. Okay. So we've got the US economy, which is a services orientated economy. Okay. Let's start there first. Then we've got Japan, which is, I would say, yeah, services and largely manufacturing, right? Because I think we know what they export. Give me two things that you know come from Japan. Two things.
Car,
Yeah,
machinery,
exactly. Name two brands. You've mentioned
Toyota,
Toyota,
Honda.
right? Toyota. Toyotas are all over the place. No day will go by without you seeing a Toyota. Comes from Japan. No ways, it's impossible, right? Even if you're in the richest nation, Dubai, no, Toyotas are there, right? Sony, right? Toshiba. Okay, these brands are not so big anymore, due to their, economic upheavals, but that's who they are, right? So now we were talking about just where they are as economies, looking quite deep into the state of these economies, right? So we've got, let's go back, let's say just a little. 2020, COVID happens. We've got this, synchronized, shutdown of all economies in the world. Nothing going in, nothing going out. Everybody takes a knock. It was more of like a flash crash of the economies. The rollout of the vaccine happens, but those economies had taken a big knock, so the central banks had to step in to stimulate that economy. A topic for another day, but that stimulation was done. I'll mention one thing that was done to stimulate the economy: lowering interest rates, pumping quite a lot of money into the economy, into circulation, right? Because if you've got money in circulation, the demand for goods and services increases. It's basic economics, right? If you have got money, you want something, right? So the demand for goods and services increase. So the problem is when everybody's got a lot of money, then we are chasing the same goods. If the supplier can keep up with the demand, then the same or a lot of money is chasing limited goods, and that's how basically inflation goes up, right? So now, fine, fast forward, all these economies, right, with the exception of very few, but most, if not all economies, witness a very sharp increase in their inflation, okay? With the exception of Japan. Now, I want you after this session because you'll have the weekend to yourself, right? From here onwards. Then we're going to come back next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where we really get into it. So you're going to have time to watch as many documentaries you can possibly find on YouTube on the history of Japan's economy. So coming back, we've got Japan, as the rollout of the vaccine happens and these economies are opening up and there's a lot of money, people are spending and spending and spending. All these economies, inflation going up. Japan's economy, inflation wasn't going up, right? So long story short, with Japan, they have been in what we call a disinflationary state, right? They actually have been going nowhere slowly, okay? And remember I said, how do you increase money supply? You lower the interest rates, okay? So they've had those interest rates low for, in fact, not even low. They've had their interest rates negative, right? Those interest rates out of Japan have been at a negative, let me just get my pen, negative 0.10%, right? This is where they were, and they still couldn't get inflation to move like this, such as the US. The US inflation moved like this with only an interest rate of 0.25%, right? But it got high. This one was still moving like this. So fast forward, we've got the US's inflation moving like this to the upside, too high. All the other economies as well, too high, too high, too high. So what do? They need to take out that money supply, or they need to take out that money out of circulation, rather, let me put it that way. So what do? This guy here, which is interest rates, you hike him. So they've hiked it all the way to 5.5%, right? And so this inflation definitely has come down over time, right, to a level that is much more comfortable, right? So now that inflation is almost back to normal, they can't keep those interest rates high. So they need to start lowering them. Okay. But now that everybody's inflation is coming down, guess what? Japan's inflation is moving like this. So they're actually pulling in different directions. They are implementing a totally different monetary policy compared to most of these central banks, right? All these central banks now, let me just delete this. All these central banks, so your Canada, Europe, your Swiss, the UK, the pound, all these economies are actually moving their interest rates lower. But Japan is actually now moving the opposite direction, right? So essentially, what it means, having those and that understanding, that basic understanding about macroeconomic data, USD JPY has to move in this direction, right? It has to move in this direction. So I would say 100% fundamentals, yes, fundamentals play a huge role in determining the direction of the market. We don't simply look at a chart and say, okay, it's bearish, so therefore we sell. No, you're not going to enjoy being in that trade. You know why? Because you don't have all the facts and you know it. So immediately when you see a positive $10, you are ready, willing, and able to just take it. You don't have the confidence to be in a trade for long. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? You can't be in that trade
Yeah.
for long because you're always trading on hope. I hope this trade goes well. I think it should, man. Hey, let's just to the point, you
Wish
get it, right?
thinking.
And as soon as you get something out of it, you're
I've
out.
been in that situation.
So
Sounds like
yes.
sounds like
It has to change, right? That has to change. I need to ask you, anything regarding the markets. I need to wake you up out of your sleep at 2 a.m. in the morning and ask you and say, Medinel, tell me about GBP USD. And you should be able to tell me exactly where price is the last time when you checked it, what the structure is, where it's likely going, and why you think it's going up or down. And give me, supporting facts, right? So once you have all the facts, you trade with confidence. Now, trading with confidence doesn't necessarily mean you should now, increase your risk exposure because you're trading with confidence. No. That it needs to be a calculated risk, because if you're not using the right risk, you can have all the facts, but you won't afford to stay in the trade if it goes against you just 10 pips because, well, you're over leveraged. And so you lose your account, you blow your account, and then you blow it once, you blow it twice, you blow it 3 times. You start to wonder, do I really know how to trade?
Yeah.
See, so that erodes your confidence. You start to think, maybe there's something I don't know, but you actually know everything. It's your approach to the charts. It's your approach to, or your attitude towards risk that's skewed, which is not helping you in any way, right? So we've got a lengthy road ahead, but you may be surprised actually, because we are left with what, I would say 3 solid months. And I suspect we could actually be able to cover everything within a month, pushing it 6 weeks, right? 6 weeks. Why I say 6 weeks? Because unfortunately, we live in South Africa, right? We used to laugh at Nigeria back in the days, going without power for days, uh, mismanagement or lack of governance. Now we're in the same situation now, right? So we've got power cuts, right? So sometimes it's scheduled and we can work around it, and sometimes you'd be talking like this and then boom, gone, unscheduled, right? So we've got such things which are hurdles that might prolong then our mentorship program, right? Any questions so far? All good? Okay. So
All good, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
All good, all good.
All good. Okay. So I think
yeah,
yes.
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I think what I'm getting also from what you've just said is that even though US dollar is it's a reserve currency.
Yes.
Because it's not trading alone, you need to also understand the economic data for Japan, for Canada, for all these other pairs, all
Yes.
the other currencies that you, because when you trade US, you don't trade it on its own. You either against gold. So if you don't know any news around gold and it's not what you thought it's gonna do, it's because you don't have you probably just have information on the US dollar, but you
Yes.
don't know.
And it's
So
not enough.
one actually is to understand the other currencies. If you are trading certain pairs, you need to know the other currency that you're trading, that you use it to trade against the US dollar.
100%. 100%. You can't simply say, I understand the dollar, what's going on there in the US. It's okay. I'll just trade it against, the Australian dollar. No. You have to, give it a bit more effort and understand exactly also what's going on in that, other economy. By the way, another task for you is I want you to understand what type of economies you're dealing with. Okay. I'll give you just maybe one or two. So we've got the US economy, right? And you have to understand these economies. What are they made up of? Right? So in other words, what contributes the most to GDP? Gross domestic product, productivity. Okay. So we've got services, contributing at least 70% to GDP. And then 30% is manufacturing. Excuse the spelling. Right? 30%. Now, it wasn't like this before. Manufacturing used to be very big in the US. Okay. But over the years, that economy has evolved. Manufacturing has shrunk considerably. But of course, if this has shrunk, who have they lost their manufacturing power to? It's easy, that one, because we're in Africa. You should know who's manufacturing for us.
China.
China. Right? So China is a big manufacturer. I don't quite have the figure, but definitely this would definitely be more than let's say 70%, for argument's sake. Let's say manufacturing contributes 70% to their GDP, right? Then followed by services. Now, when we say services, don't be confused, right? Some actually some actually break it down nicely. When you do some research, you get a clear answer on what falls under services, right? So when we say services, we're talking about your finance, your insurances, your tech companies, right? Hotels, restaurants, tourism, all those things would fall under services. You follow? So manufacturing in China is much bigger. They've taken basically a lot, or they've basically collapsed a lot of manufacturing sectors, right? And they've really, I mean, South Africa's manufacturing sector almost doesn't exist anymore, but we used to be quite big. So instead of buying machinery from China or Japan to manufacture, we're buying finished goods, right? But it's not something that's only unique to us. A lot of countries are doing the same as well. Australia. How do you spell Australia again? I just forgot the spelling. Ostra.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Am I right? Australia. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So Australia, what are they known for? Besides kangaroos? What are they known for? It's not the biggest population, but they've got land for days. It's actually quite big, geographically speaking. What do they have? They've got, this is a commodity regime. They've got mining, right? Mining is quite big, right? They've got a lot of coal, iron ore, gold. Who's their strategic trade partner? This guy here. This guy here, China, is their strategic partner. So 70% of their iron ore that they actually export as Australia goes to China. Now, China is struggling, okay? China is struggling since COVID. They were the first to be under lockdown. They were the last to get out of lockdown. And that economy hasn't been the same since. It's not back to pre-pandemic levels in terms of productivity. Okay, it's really struggling. So the demand for iron ore by China has declined. So if your biggest client is not buying that much from you, you're not well too. You get it? Your business is not doing well. And I remember when I was still, actively involved in, say, especially in the mining sector, my biggest dinosaur or client was Anglo. And I realized if this guy decides not to give me business, I'm going to go under. So I started looking for other, clients, equally big or many small, good business or clients rather, let me put it that way, so that if the big guy decides not to give me anything, then I can still survive. So now we've got this big guy here who's struggling, which is China, and it's really affecting Australia. Okay, so you can go and look at the GDP numbers out of Australia. They're not looking good. You can go and look at their export figures. They're not exporting as much, right? There's what we call trade balance. Okay, trade balance. So essentially what your trade balance is it's a ledger, right? Exports, imports. If you've got a deficit, okay? If you've got a deficit, that means you are importing more than you are exporting. And China has always had a surplus, not China, sorry, Australia has always had a surplus, okay, trade deficit. In other words, they've always exported much more than they imported. Okay. Now it's not quite the same, right? So it's at a negative. So definitely something is wrong there. So now we know this is a commodity regime. South Africa is a commodity regime, right? We are known for our commodities. Australia, same. Let's bring in, say, what are the economy? The UK, so the pound. I want you to go and find out what is it made up of? You know, manufacturing and services. How big are those? Which one is the largest? Let's do Canada, New Zealand, Japan. What do we trade mostly? So we've got US, China. We hardly trade we don't really trade that currency. Well, I don't anyway. But yeah, Australia, UK, Canada, New Zealand, Japan. I feel like I'm missing other major economies here. Okay, but let's do Canada.
CHF.
CHF, right? You're Swiss. Right? Canada. What do they know? What are they known for?
Gold?
Yeah, they've got a bit of gold, but doesn't really contribute much to their GDP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just like us, we don't have much gold anymore. It's all in the Queen's vault in England, unfortunately. She won't give it back. Well, she's gone now, so we're definitely not getting it back. So
Well, they say Soweto is on gold, but they can't move Soweto.
yeah, exactly. Canada, no, not quite gold. But what they have is also referred to as liquid gold. What is that?
Oil. Is it
Oil.
oil?
Not
Okay.
cooking oil, guys. Okay, we're talking crude oil. Okay. Oil. That's what they have. What am I doing? Oil. Okay. Now, this contributes quite a bit to their GDP. So now, let's make an example with this one. Let's say, because this Russia and Ukraine is not the only war. What other war is ongoing right now? Besides the ones in Africa, which don't really make headlines. Nobody cares about us, basically, right? So, yeah, we don't make headlines. So who else is fighting out there? And it's definitely the whole world is watching.
Israel, Palestine.
Exactly, right? So this is the Middle East region. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's unfortunately one of the worst wars I've seen in a very long time, but don't want to get into that. But we've got neighboring countries there, right? And we've got a very crucial shipping
Roads.
yeah, right. What is it called? Is it what is it called?
I also forgot.
Is it the Suez Canal?
It's canal.
Is that the one? that goes through, right? So let's say this is the Suez Canal where all these big ships from the West would pass through here so that they could get to Africa much quicker, right? And other countries. This is the Middle East, right? Let's say this is the Middle East. These are countries. So now if this war spreads, right? We've got what are those two countries? Hey man, I forget, right? But essentially, this region, wars always happen, but some wars are more important than others because it will affect, you know, not just them, but the global economy. So the Middle East is known for oil, okay? They've got plenty of oil. So if this war actually gets out of hand, at one point, actually, shipping couldn't go through here, right? Because of that war. They had to go around the continent of Africa, passing actually South Africa, just to get to other countries. So of course, if now we, don't have access to that shortcut, shipping costs go up, right?
Yeah.
And that cost is redirected to the consumer, you and I. All those things that we have bought online, our Shein, our Temu, our Alibaba stuff, triple in price, everything, right? Tires, everything, because we pretty much import everything anyway. So all those things are going to go up. So let's say, for example, indeed, it gets messy here, right? So this then disrupts, number one, the production of oil, and secondly, the distribution of oil. What will happen to the price of oil?
Go up, the demand, right? Yeah.
100%. The price of oil will go up, provided, of course, that the demand is still the same, right? If the demand is the same, but the production and distribution goes down, then the prices will go up because there is less of that oil in circulation, or in supply, rather, let me put it that way, right? So the demand exceeds the supply. So the prices go up. And because Canada has got a lot of oil, they benefit from increasing oil prices. Okay? That is directly correlated to their currency's value. Oil prices go up, you'll see Canada's currency does this as well.
Okay. Well,
so when you trade, you are not going into it blindly. You have to understand that you're not just looking at the chart. Oh, I like USD CAD, it's bearish. No, this is the last thing you look at, right? Fine, you can start there, that's fine. But you have to back it up, right? So we've got Canada, which is an oil producing nation. If those prices go up, it will positively affect the currency of Canada's currency, let me put it that way. You see it, right? So that's just one example, right? So you have to definitely look at oil prices. You have to be reading, reports and announcements made by those cartels. Okay, OPEC, these are cartels. Trust me. They might call themselves regulatory bodies, but that's what does a cartel do? They say, okay, this area here, I'm in charge. I make sure that the supply and the price, I handle that. So basically that's what they do. So OPEC has got its own member states, okay? Nigeria, all of those countries, blah, blah. Here, IEA, International, what is it? No, it's IEA, right? International Energy Agency, I think, IEA, not this. International Energy Agency, we've got, or it also has its own member states. So you want to know, I mean, if these guys, let's say OPEC says, you know what, we are going to increase supply by 1 million barrels a day. Okay? That's going to affect the price of oil. If you increase supply, or if you have more of something in circulation, the price or the value of that particular item goes down. You follow? I hope I haven't lost anybody at this point.
Yeah, I got it.
Right?
Let's
Let's
see.
take another example. Thank you. If you have, say, I don't know, let's say, if in my area, if there's a lot of, say, Porsches, right? If there's a lot of Porsches in my area and I'm shopping for a Porsche, the likelihood of me getting it cheaper is great, right? Compared to an area that only has 10 Porsches, right? So the more of something in circulation, the less the value. It's just basic demand and supply, right? You increase the supply, you lower the value of that. And I want you to remember that, because that's how, with money, actual currency, that's what happens as well, right? Glorious answered it beautifully. They said, if you increase money supply, you get inflation, right? If you have too much money in supply, you get inflation. The money loses its value because, well, everybody has it. Okay, so please go and check, what is New Zealand known for? Japan, we've already briefly touched on it. The Swiss franc, I'm quite curious to see this one here. And of course, the UK. Any questions? I don't want us to go on and on and on and on. We are merely warming up. Okay, I don't want to bombard you with too many things. It's a warm-up. Let's enjoy, by the way, the learning process. I know we want to make the money. We're going to make it. We're going to make it, right? I don't know if Medina will remember this account. I started it just almost at the end of the previous group. Where's that account? Just to show you that it's just you want to control your pace. Let me just try and find it for you. Then I'll share it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Ah, found it. Let me just change the screens. MetaTrader, share. MetaTrader share. There was I was watching this I would say podcast, I guess. Somebody was commenting about this guy. I actually met the guy actually last year in Kenya. He was also invited to this broker's party, birthday party, 5-year party, 5 years celebration thing. I forget his name, but basically he's the #1 prop firm trader. Do you know him? Have you heard of him? Right. So he's he's got the largest account. He's the biggest. Well, he's got the biggest funded account by FTMO, and I forget also this other broker, private broker, what it is. They funded him basically not so long ago. Well, a year ago, $1 million, right? And the drawdown on that was not to exceed 7%, which is about what, $70,000? Yeah. right? So he wasn't supposed to lose $70,000. He loses $70,000, they take the account back, right? That's just on this one, the 1 million. The other one is way bigger than 1 million. But this guy who was commenting on that was saying, because he took, I think, about 26 trades, this trader, and only one was in loss. Okay. 26 trades for the entire year, right? And only one in loss. And he made a 30% growth on the account, so $300,000 profit. Okay. Now that's impressive. But okay, so the guy goes on to say, yeah, you see, now this is how you trade, right? And he was arguing the point that it takes money to make money. Yeah, true. I take that point. But and he was saying that's why I'll never trust anybody who says they can move an account from $500 to $5,000. Why not? What is the point? Well, like, I don't understand. So that's what I had an issue with, because for the longest time, I've always demonstrated that, especially for us retail traders, we don't have, such big accounts, and will never likely enjoy the opportunity of being funded, let's say, by a private investor or a prop firm, and let's say $1 million, right? Well, we could argue that, but I think if I was to put my mind to it, I could easily be funded $1 million with the level of experience that I have. But I don't need to be funded. I work with my own capital, right? And I've said now I'm done with prop firms anyway, because they just keep on proving me right, with the exception of FTMO, because FTMO has been here the longest and definitely are doing the right thing. Everybody else, I'm okay, right? I don't want to deal with that. So this account here, I funded, it's on 24,000, this is dollars, and I started it, account history, $2,000. This was on the 18th of June, right? And like I always say, remember I said, you will trade with confidence, but it doesn't necessarily mean you must over leverage, and you don't find it to be correct, because you'll soon learn that you're not going to be right all the time. You're going to incur plentiful losses, okay? But losses should not be the end of your account, or losses should not, cause you sleepless nights. Because if they do, then you know that your risk exposure is too high. So you can lose countless trades for various reasons, right? It could be premature entry. It could be whatever it may be. There's various reasons why you would lose a trade, okay? The whole point of trading is not to be daydreaming about profit. That's a given. The moment you open that PC, your intention is to make money. But I want you to pay more attention and meditate on risk, risk, risk. That is extremely important. If you spend more time thinking about risk, you're already a better trader, okay? Because you are realistic. You know that losses are a reality. So when you lose, you have to be mentally prepared for that loss. It shouldn't come as a surprise, as if it jumped at you like somebody crossing the road, right? You should be aware and prepared for that loss, so that when it happens, you've already priced it in. You know exactly that I'm going in at this point, but if this trade doesn't go according to plan, I'm going to be stopped out, and this is what I'm willing to lose on this trade. So when that loss happens, you're not devastated, okay? trading is a game of probabilities, right? Trading is a game of probabilities. Even if you have all those fundamental and technical facts, you might be a little confused and say, but how? It only takes you to watch Bloomberg, right? Watch Bloomberg for a day, Bloomberg surveillance. We all have access to the same data, most of us anyway, right? And they'll ask, the head of investing of this particular company and this one and this hedge fund manager. These are seasoned investors / traders with a wealth of experience and knowledge, right? We're all looking at the same data, but the answers are not going to be the same. Their point of view varies. There's always a divergence. Are you following what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Right? In other words, I can have all 9 of you here in front of me, show you all the ingredients of my cake, bake it in front of you. But when you bake that cake, it's not going to be the same as mine. It might probably even vary in taste. So our interpretation of data and how we use it is different. It can vary. And the degree of variance, well, yeah, you get the point. So
Yeah,
on Bloomberg, somebody will say, yeah, I can see, yes, sure, there's data, blah, blah, but I definitely think this is where, the pound is going. Somebody else is saying, hey, guys, sell, 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 sell. I'm getting out of the market. It's not looking good, right? 2 experienced people seeing it totally different. And one is going to lose money. Somebody's going to make money. So if it's you who gets it wrong, it's okay, right? Don't fight to be right. If there's anything to fight for in this thing, is capital preservation, right? Giving yourself enough trading opportunities so that you can go back at it day after day. Now, when you fund your account with $100 and then you go full margin and you're saying, hey, go big or go home, I need to make money. It's that approach is not right. You're gambling now. You're not taking yourself seriously now when you do it that way. Guys, like I said, I'm like basically is it Muhammad our pastor. Am I right? I'm like you. We can talk all night. So let's leave it here then for today, right? Let's leave it here for today. Do you still remember the assignment, ladies and gents? Go and watch as many videos as you want to get a bit of background on Japan's economy. And then also just familiarize yourself, just do that little bit of research on what type of economies these are. Right? Oh, so I think we can leave it here for today. I trust you had a fantastic, intro / first day of learning. I like to say, what you don't know doesn't exist. And so we have yet to make a lot of things apparent to you, right? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gents. I wish you a fantastic weekend. Share this.
All right. Thank you, boss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Power to the people. I'm out.